Okay, so this is Dad Confessional Take Two, and I'm gonna start this one off with a couple stories about my dad, or that involves my dad. Um, and one is a story that he told me recently that I'd never heard him tell, which took place when I was in sixth grade. I just moved to a new town, new school, the whole deal, and apparently I was having a hard time at the new bus stop. Apparently Dave Aguili was giving me a hard time. Dave. Rude. And I guess I came home upset about it. I was crying. And my dad felt compelled to walk me to the bus stop the next day and take Dave Aguili aside. And he was like, hey, so Dave, gosh, I'm hearing that someone's giving Jean a hard time at the bus stop. They're teasing her. God, I would hate to find out who. If you could just, keep an eye out for me. Could you do that? Could you keep an eye on her for me? And apparently David Gilly was like, oh, yeah, yeah, sure, sure. Yeah, no problem. And as the story goes, I never had any problems at the bus stop again. Um, that's kind of cool. I like that story. And the other one is very similar. It was when I was two. I've heard this story a bunch of times. I had a best friend named Marta or Mia. Let's call her Mia. And apparently we were like, we got along like gangbusters, except when she beat on me. And my dad said that he kind of stood by and let it play out a bit and tried to mediate at one point, but finally had just totally had enough. When I came to him crying, upset, Mia hit me, I don't know, whatever 2-year-olds say. And and he finally was like, you know what? You go back in there, wherever there was, and you hit her back. And apparently I went back in and smacked her, and we didn't have any problems anymore. I know that sounds like violent, but the point is that I love those stories because they are moments where my dad totally had my back and played a really protective role that I felt like he did not play in my later teenage years and my adulthood, especially since my parents got divorced. I felt like there was a real lack of paternal protective presence on his part, um, since I was about, 16, 17. And I'm going to actually fast forward to another story that kind of like bookends that experience for me. When my parents got divorced, I was like beside myself. I just, not in a way that like a young child would be beside themselves, but in the way that I was still very young, and I could not handle it. And every time he tried to talk to me about it, or something came, I would break down, hysterically crying. I could not even face him and talk to him about what was going on at the time. And I remember we were having one of these horrible conversations, if you could even call it a conversation. It was mostly just me hysterically crying. And he got really fed up. And he couldn't understand why I think he felt like I had turned on him. He couldn't understand why I was so upset with him specifically. And I remember him saying, well, babe, you've made mistakes too, okay? And that to me stood out in my mind very clearly, because I remember thinking, or maybe I didn't understand what I was thinking. I remember that point in my life as a point where I realized, oh my God, I don't have a dad anymore, really. That's not what he is to me anymore. I don't have anyone protecting me anymore. So that was hard. And it wasn't just in that one isolated moment. That was how I kind of felt throughout that process that was pretty pivotal in our relationship. Um, I think that, yeah, we had, a back and forth kind of contentious relationship as a lot of teenagers and their parents, or specifically maybe like teenage girls and their dads or moms. I mean, God, let's be honest, teenage girls are horrible. But instead of riding through that phase and then reconnecting as adults, I feel like that phase extended for quite a long time, where I was basically acting as the resentful teenager up until my 30s, to a certain degree. And I feel like our relationship is better than it has been ever. I'm happy to have it. I remember also specifically at one point in my mid 20s deciding that I do want a relationship with him and I want a good one. And so I've been trying to figure out since then what it takes to have a good one with him. Which comes with its own set of resentments because I feel like I'm the one responsible for the quality of our relationship. I feel like I'm the one who's going to have to initiate that. If we have like an open, honest, authentic relationship, I'm going to have to be the one that puts myself out there first. So I'm going to have to be the one that initiates. Um, but that's how it goes. And I think that he's capable of having an open, honest, loving relationship with me because we do love each other. We care about each other very much. We have a history together. I've known him for 34 years. Um, I know he cares about me very much. I really do. But beyond that, I want our relationship to be a strong one. I want to continue to strengthen those bonds that are already in place. And yeah, I think we can do that. I think it's a process. I hope to have him in my life for as long as humanly as possible. Um, so I guess even this video is a good reminder that, you have to make it count. And make it count, that's so vague. Meaning you have to, when you have the time to spend with a parent, you have to be present in those moments and let the love come through. I know that sounds like a bad 70s pop song, but the love that I have for him, I want to cultivate that and let that come through rather than the old issues from the teenage years and the early adulthood years that always rears its head around the holidays or whatever family obligations come up. So kind of like tempering those and bringing out the other is really my goal for our relationship, and I think that can happen. Anyway, that's Dad Confessional 2. I hope that works for everybody. You guys must be really bored. I just looked down at the clock. 9 minutes has passed. So we'll wrap it up here. If this does go out to my dad and this does go all over the internet, I guess I should close with, I love you very much. From your daughter.